Hi everybody, I am SS the Showstopper and I'm coming to you from the Devil Advocate channel. Today is the 24th of October in the year of our Lord 2022. Now, I was watching your favorite crime and violence vlogger, and he was making some points about crime and violence, and he made some points that were valid. He made some points that made sense, that were logical. However, they should those strategies that he's suggesting or recommended be implemented, it would still be ineffective to tackle crime in Jamaica. Mary, the first thing this, and before I get into it, he was actually incorporating the crime situation with the social media person, Anika, they call Slickiana, who was recently murdered. He was incorporating her situation with the crime and violence in Jamaica, and how long will it be until the government puts some strategies in place that will tackle crime? Now, everybody, everybody, time and time and time and time again, keeps saying that the government needs to do this, the government needs to do that, the government, if the government cabinet is about 100 or even 200, the government in a democratic society will not be able to implement strategies to tackle crime and violence as is. That will work. Let me explain what I mean. In a democratic third world country, it is subservient. No, let me use the word subordinate so people can relate to the word subordinate. It is subordinate to other super countries. There are trade relations that the government has signed, many trade agreements that the government has signed with these countries, many of which the government has to uphold, which have resulted in the economy declining, not being stable, also crime. A lot of people don't know this. I remember Alison Peart used to come on, when she was usually on television, she was always being interviewed and she was always cautioning the government about trade agreements that they're signing with these countries, because in the years to come, it will be very terrible, not only on the economy, but on the state of the country. Okay? So the reason I say that it will be very ineffective, any strategies that is implemented by a third world democratic government, is that when I look back at the video that I made about a message to Sir P and the Tivoli Gardens residents, there were certain things in it that I said that stood out. Had people watched the video and listened carefully, they would realize that I was onto something. I was giving a suggestion that has never been implemented in Jamaica. One of the suggestions that I made, and I will repeat it, one of the suggestions that I made was the mind of the people has to revamp. The mind and the mentality of the people living in that situation, in that constituency, has to change. Now, this is all across the island now. It's not just in Tivoli anymore. All across the island, the mind of the people is where the problem lies, and the mind of the people has to change. So if the government decides that, okay, I'm going to clamp down on something, by the way, throughout the history of Jamaica, we have seen the government clamping down on this and clamping down on that. When has it ever resulted in low crime rate? When has it ever solved anything for that matter, or make a grand change? There's no evidence of that. So if the government have decided to implemented situations that will bring forth changes to suppress crime, Where's the proof of it going to work? Because what we know is that, okay, if you catch a man with a gun, give him 30 years in prison or stuff like that, it's not going to make it's not going to make any difference, because there's a revolution that's taking place right now on the island, and people refuse to accept it. There is a revolution that is taking place, and it's a revolution of the mind. It's a revolution of a whole lot of things that's taking place right now. So, in order for any change to make in the country, the mind of the people have to change. I'll give you an example. Kagame, Kagame, who is the president of Rwanda. Kagame is the president of Rwanda. We know for decades Rwanda had genocide. It was war, 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 people killing each other. On an interview, Kagame was sitting there. There was a lady that was sitting beside one of the citizens, and a gentleman was sitting beside another citizen. The man sitting beside the lady is responsible for the death of her entire family. He literally hacked her entire family, her children and their husband, to death. They ask the woman, why are you sitting beside this man? How did you come about to sit in the same position with a man that's responsible for the death of your entire family? How do you do it? How do you forgive? And she said she decided to forgive him because her president told her to. That is an extremely powerful statement. She simply forgave the man for the death of her entire family because her president told her to forgive. And that's where the change started in Rwanda. Rwanda is heading to become a first world country right now as we speak. They have shown places in Rwanda. I thought it was somewhere in Europe. It's extremely magnificent. It's beautiful. And not only that, because they're blessed with the greenery, it adds to the aesthetics of the country, you know. So back to my point, the mind of the people in Rwanda have changed. The mind of the people, they decided that, listen, at some point in time, somebody has to stop. Some point in time, somebody has to stop. And it's not about losing. It's not about, okay, that person took out somebody for me and I did nothing, so I lose and I lost. And I'm the loser and I have to live with this and I'm going to exercise over it. No, what they look at was, it has to stop. It has to stop. That country was once poorer than Jamaica. Poorer than Jamaica. So it also had nothing to do with poverty. It had nothing to do with poverty. That country was poorer than Jamaica. The people mind, their mind. My second suggestion was, the persons who put the people in that situation, it's their duty to take them out, which is where Sir P was heading about tackling crime when he said that the government needs to do this, the government needs to do that. I think he grazed over it, and I don't think he understands fully what is taking place. That is a mind. It's a war of the mind that's taking place across the island. So the government through whatever means, whether it be through corruption, through illegal activities and stuff like that, through what they call a garrison and stuff like that, that has caused the people to be in the situation that they're in all across the island. A strategy has to be implemented in place to take people out of that mentality, out of that situation also. So my point is, for crime to tackle, for crime to dwindle, for crime to decrease in the island, it has to be a collective effort. The onus cannot be on the government alone. I am sorry, that's just the harsh reality that you have to live with. There's something called personal responsibility. There is something called personal responsibility. The mind of the people has to change. I think it's Dr. Ray Higgins always said, he who controls the printing controls the thinking of the age. And what he means by that, what he meant by that, I should say, is he who controls text, he who controls media, and in this case, social media in 2022, control how people think, how people function. He who controls it. Anybody who's in position of power will control what goes out there in the media, what goes out there in the press, about people, about situations. They control the mind of the people because you're programming people to think and behave a certain way. And and I like, and people like to walk around. I'm sorry, people like to walk around and say, nobody can tell them this, nobody can tell they have a mind of their own. They have a mind. You're still being programmed to think a certain way, whether you like it or not. So the people mind is where the problem is, and also who put them in that situation, which is government. And also many persons also who are in position of power, people with great wealth, people who were with great wealth who had ill intentions. You know, they are the ones that are responsible for taking them out. Are they going to take them out of the situation? And no, because someone has to be made to feel inferior. Remember, I go back to that point. They won't take them out of that situation because it will give the people a sense of independence, a sense of autonomy, that they don't have to run to this government, they don't have to run to that MP, they don't have to run to that person for this and that. You understand me? So it pays to put them in the position and keep them in the position that they're in, because they will always be subordinate to you. And through voting, it secures their position in power. So someone has to be made to feel inferior. And so the powers that be also, which is those who are wealthy, those who are very rich, they can retain and maintain their wealth. So that's where the problem comes in, the mind of the people. Lee Kuan Yew, again, that's another reference I'll pull up. Lee Kuan Yew was in Singapore. When he decided to change, when he decided to turn around Singapore, he had to implement strategies also that would make the country run as if it was a communist country. You understand? He had to do these things. He had to put it in place. And the people, the majority of the people there, a lot of people resist, but the majority of the people were willing to comply. That's where the mind of the people again began to see themselves for who they really are and who they can be. So they began to see that there is more to life than just vanity, than gains, than this, than that. There is something called inner peace. There's something called self-respect. There's something called humanity, which they had to have respect for. Human life, they had to have respect for. And they realized that the strategies that Lee Kuan Yew was implementing would work. Singapore is now a first world country. So it goes back to the mind of the people. It's a collective effort. Everybody's pointing finger. When you point one finger at somebody, four others pointing back at you. One, the thumb, two, three, four. So it starts with you. Like I always say, be the change that you want to see. You want to see the government go up and fix road, or you want to see the government this and government do that. Okay, you can also I'm sorry, my mind is all over the place. You want to see the government fix road, you want to see the government use taxpayers' money to do what they are supposed to do with it. Okay, it starts by respecting each other. It starts from in the home, from brotherly love to sisterly love. Okay, if people are held responsible. We are accountable for our behavior. We are accountable for the things that we do to each other. So they, in turn, are responsible. Remember that the government is a Jamaican. They in turn are responsible and have to act on their responsibility, because you're taking them to task based on the fact that you took yourself to task. You accept personal responsibility for the things that you do. You understand me? So you expect the government to accept personal responsibility also. I hope people are on point with me with this. So that's another strategy. It starts with the self. It starts with self. There's no brotherly love or sisterly love on the island. I'm sorry, not sorry. There is no brotherly love or sisterly love. It's all about gains. If I have a brother and a brother can look out for me and give me things and take care of me and give me money and send me, well, it's my bona fide brother, it's my best brother, it's my loving brother. The moment he can't or he's not in a position to do it, or you are in a better position than him, you don't feel like you should assist, you don't feel like you should help. So it goes two ways. You understand me? There is no brother, there is no genuine love. There is no genuine love in each other. And I said and I repeat, the mind of the people is where the problem is. I urge people once more to read the book by Thomas Sowell, Black Rednecks and White Liberals. That book teaches you every single culture out there. And the race, they had the same problem that we now have in Jamaica and in black communities across the globe. It was the same problem in the white communities. It was the same crime and violence. It was the same situation. It was the same debauchery in the white community. In the Irish community, it was the same. If you check date back as far as when the Arab Berbers were around, when they ruled and they were practicing slavery, it was the same. It was the same crime and violence. It was nothing different. It was nothing different. Strategies that came in, strategies that were implemented, I should say, worked because the mind of the people decide that enough is enough. Enough is enough. You're fighting a battle that you will never win. You will never win. You're fighting a war of the mind. You can't win. No one wins. No one wins. Sorry. So at some point in time, we have to look within ourselves and we have to understand that we have to stop. It has to stop somewhere. Give you another example. A footballer. Say Jamaica wants to win the World Cup. Jamaica is hoping to win the World Cup in 25 years' time or 50 years' time. So many of us won't probably be around. But we have a strategy in place that we want to win the World Cup in 50 years' time. Are we going to take people from high school and train them? No. It starts from inception. Now, women are going to be impregnated for men who enjoy football, who used to play football. Not only that, they're going to be an institution that when these babies are born, toddler ages, they start going to these training camps, they start practicing, they learn to meet at the mind and understand teamwork. And it goes straight up to 8 to 10 to 20 years old. 20 years old, there's a football team going to World Cup. Now, if they even do not win the World Cup, they were good enough to make it to the finals. So strategies that you're putting in place to change the mind for what you're hoping to achieve is a long-term plan, but it starts from somewhere. It starts from somewhere. It starts from somewhere. It starts from you. So if you want to see changes, if you want to see a decrease in crime, if you want to see crime to reduce, first there has to be equal rights and justice. That's another thing. There has to be equal rights and justice. Not only that, a lot of people who are like to cry out about corruption and stuff like that, they are the same people who want leniency. They are the same people driving without a license, driving with a suspended license, and all these kind of things, and want leniency when they're stopped by a police in traffic. And these are the same people who say, oh, that man, you made that man go through, but I had to pay the price because you were caught. You were caught. You were just the one who got caught. So the same people who are crying about corruption are the same people who turn around and want leniency, who want to benefit from corruption. And that's where the problem comes in. That's why it goes back to the mind of the people has to change. I hope the references that I make, I hope people can understand. There's self-restriction, there's self-restraint. There's self-control. We have to put ourselves in a position where we can restrain ourselves. For example, in Cuba, now because you're doing well, you're a successful doctor, or you're making the bank, or a successful athlete, you're going to buy an X6. Let's say you're doing well, you want to buy an X6. It's a nice vehicle. They're going to be like, no, 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 no. You're a single person. You don't have a child. You don't need a vehicle that large to drive. You need a reliable motor car that will take you to and from. But in a democratic society, the mind of the people is, I feel like I've worked to earn this, and I should be able to buy this big vehicle and drive around, or 7 of them, and have them store, and that's it, and you can't tell me what to do. That's the mind of the people, and it goes back to me saying, the mind is where the problem lies. The mind is where the problem lies. So they make a lot of money through ill-gotten gains and stuff like that, and they think of buying a gun, and and least thing, if someone step on their shoes, if they meet a girl and they like the girl, they will control her, or they meet females that are involved in all sorts of things and stuff like that, and when it goes sour, when she says something that he doesn't like, they just shoot her, take her out, or shoot his brethren and take him out, because their mind is loose. They're not connected to earth. They're not connected to nature. They're not connected to God. They're not connected to God. Man start to think that once he has a lot of money, he's a God. And he's doing what a God does. Decide who lives, decide who dies. So the mind of the people is where the problem is. I won't make this video any longer because there isn't much I can say about it. All I can do is give you the information based on my research. Based on my research, and I hope that people start looking into it and take it, share the video and listen and just take in, absorb much of the information. There's also Dr. Frances Cresswell Singh. She's a clinical she's a clinical psychiatrist, and she always speak on the function of black people and the mind because she caters to the black community. She's a black woman. She caters to, she's no longer with us. She caters to the black community, and she always speak on the ills and the things that took place, the things that are taking place, and the things that were going to happen in the future. And now we are seeing the manifestation of the things that Dr. Frances Cresswell Singh spoke about. It's all playing out. There's an institute also called the Tavistock Institute. I think it's in Germany. That institution is responsible. There's a party, there's a section there that's responsible for all the trends in the black community. You learn something now. That institution is responsible for all the trends in the black community. All that you're seeing. All that you are seeing. So you are being programmed and you don't even realize it. That's why I say to you that the mind of the people has to be the first thing that change. The mind of the people coming to self-realization, self-awareness that I am here, I'm a human being, I'm existing, there is nature, there's the earth. I need to appreciate the things that are in front of me, the fine earth, the very ant crawling. I need to appreciate it. I need to appreciate a fellow man. I need to appreciate a fellow woman. You don't have to like everything that they do or accept, but you can appreciate the mere fact that they exist. So it goes back to the mind of the people. The mind of the people has to change. The mind of the people has to change. There's nothing anybody can do. There's nothing anybody else can do. There's no amount of law that's going to implement. And people are talking about implement the death penalty, put the death penalty. I can tell you quite a few places. Do you know that California carries the death penalty? California in the United States carries the death penalty. Texas carries the death penalty. Most southern states has the death penalty. You want to know what the crime is like there? Come on. Come on. The mind of the people tell you that there's a revolution that's taking place and people don't want to accept it. There's a revolution that's taking place. The mind of the people, you have to find yourself. We have to get back at atonement with ourselves. We have to get back at oneness with God. We have to get back at peace. We have to, because if you're searching for something, you're going to find it eventually. So if I'm searching for peace, if I'm searching, the first thing I'm going to meet, the first thing that's going to happen is that I'm going to meet someone that's on the same journey or someone that has been through it. So if you're searching for something, it's like someone told me once, if you're hanging around 9 millionaires, it matters not how broke you are. Eventually, you will become the 10th millionaire. If you're hanging around 9 broke people, it doesn't matter how rich you are. You will eventually become the 10th broke person. So if you're searching for something, you're going to find it. You will find it. If you don't, someone will and show it to you. So if you're searching for peace, if you're searching for crime to dwindle, eventually it will. God will show you. God will show you. God will show you. Or you will inspire people who are on the same journey as I said, or those who have been there and now know better, learn better through their mishaps, through their life lessons or their life journey, so they can teach you the same thing. I'm sorry, but if we are not making any decision to look within ourselves and to find inner peace and to learn to forgive and to learn to have brotherly love and sisterly love, we are doomed. Another thing, I'm just going to say it, I'm going to use euphemism because I can't say what I really want to say, but there are certain people that should not be reproducing. There are certain people out there that should not be reproducing. The reason for that, if you know that you do not have parental instinct, you don't have motherly or fatherly instinct, you're about yourself, you're about who you are, and that you should not, you have no business having a child. You have no business having a child because you are for yourself. You are for yourself. At what point are you going to be selfish and realize that this is an innocent life that I have, and I have to give my all. I have to give my all to this life so it can become pure, so it can become wholesome, it can have strength, it can understand, and it can traverse life with respect, with peace, with virtue. It's very sad what's taking place on the island. The brothers killing brothers, men killing men, fathers. It's a demonic island. Jamaica has become a demonic island. You know why it's so bad? Because it's very small. It's very small. It's so sad. It's so sad. Brothers killing brothers, sisters killing sisters, people killing people, strangers robbing and shooting people, hacking people to death. This, that. It's just an island of misery. Everybody's miserable. Everybody. 2.9 million people, 3 million people on the island. All 3 million people are miserable. We are all sad and miserable. And we need to come out of our misery. And in order for us to come out of our misery, we all, we all, I'm not saying that we have to come together, but we all have to start going on a journey to find ourselves. We're going to have to start going on a journey to find ourselves. So, Serpi, I think you putting the pressure on the government to do this and to do that, it will be ineffective if it's the government alone. It will be ineffective. And as I said, Jamaica is a third world country, and it's also subordinate to many superpowers. The trade agreements that were signed and that are signed with other nations basically put Jamaica in a lot of restriction. They put Jamaica in a lot of restrictive position where there are certain things that can't be met. And you know that. If you're not aware, well, you know today. And I do not want your followers, because you like to talk about LIQ. I don't want your, because you have a lot of LIQ followers yourself. And I don't want them under my comments injecting their foolery and their nonsense. You're going to be deleted and you're going to be blocked. Because I just don't have time or the energy for um, that kind of behavior. I'm not absorbing it. I'm speaking on something that is extremely serious. And if you want to be facetious, if people want to be facetious about it, that's their business. You understand me? I can protect myself. I can protect myself. If people want to be facetious about things that are extremely serious because it's not you, it's not your child, it's not your parent, it's not your loved one, then you can go ahead and do so. But it's high times and it's extremely serious. 65-year-old men, 80 plus year old men, businessmen are being taken out for their money for I mean, it is so sad. It's 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 so sad. It's so sad. It's people think that this is a joke. It's not a joke. There's nothing funny. There's nothing funny in Jamaica anymore. Jamaica is not funny anymore. It's not the island of sea and sunshine or even sex. People are having sex out of hate. You read stories about a 90-year-old man being hacked to death, a child being burnt, being shot. That's demonism. That's evil. That's evil. That's evil. People just don't respect human life. I'm sad to say my country doesn't love me. Jamaica doesn't love each other. Jamaicans don't love each other. It's sad. There's nothing funny about what's taking place on the island. And I pray to God that, we will all find ourselves and we will understand that human life is extremely important. And if you even can't love the other person, have some respect for life. Because I'm the type of person, if my energy and your energy I don't want to know anything about if you are friends and we're no longer friends. I don't care. I just don't want to be around. I don't want to know. I'm not interfering with you. I'm not investigating. I'm not digging up. I'm not trolling. I'm not searching to find out things about you. I leave you alone. There are people who I'm no longer friends with, and when they associate who knows, when they see me on the road and they ask me, How is Jane or so on? I said the last time I spoke with her, she was well okay. She was okay the last time I spoke with her. I'm not gonna say that you don't see this and that, and they are okay. The last time I spoke with them, they were okay and they were doing well. I wish them all the best because they will need all the best. It's a sad day to be a Jamaican. So many people, productive people, innocent people are just going to work, people who are associated. Yes, people will always wrong you. If you leave and you go to Ghana, if you leave and you go to Timbuktu, if you leave and you go to France, if you go to Spain, if you go to Trinidad, St. Kitts, someone is going to step on your toe. Someone's going to say something that you don't like. There's someone you're going to have a bad deal with. There's someone, are you going to kill everybody? Are you going to just take out everybody? It's madness. An island of mad people. An island of mad people. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you. Be the change that you want to see. Look out for yourself and each other. God bless you.